To order the January 19, 2023 meeting of the trustees of trust funds. And the first meeting on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the December 21st meeting. And before I call for a motion on that, I'd like to propose an amendment to that draft, specifically in the third paragraph. I guess it would be the fourth paragraph, because you got a one-sentence paragraph there, but the reference about two-thirds of the way down the paragraph that the chair explained that this ordinance states, et cetera, I would like it replaced with language that says that section 1.105.A of the Public Art Ordinance provides that, quote, no less than 90% of the principal amount of public art contribution generated on any particular building project shall be expended on the site of that project, end quote. Since the total contribution for the Foundry Garage artwork was $150,000, the request to disperse $21,100 of those funds toward the Bohenko Sculpture Garden exceeds the $15,000 limit permitted by that section by $6,100, which is what I was trying to say, but might not have artfully said it last time I was here. So subject to that change, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Approve as amended.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further corrections or discussion?
Tom, just so I understand, the reason we have an issue is not because of the price of the potential sculpture in the garden, but because it exceeds the cost of 10% of the cost of the garage.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, the funds that we're currently holding in trust, the $21,100, relate to the Foundry Garage, and that amount is above 10%, which would mean that the requirement that expended at least 90% of all projects be expended on the project site would not be met.
So is that going to be amended?
Yes. So after our meeting, I had a conference call with the city manager and the city attorney and explained my reading of the trust document in relation to the ordinance, and they agreed. So they have already proposed in the last city council meeting an amendment to that ordinance. It will simply provide that at the end of the sentence I read, unless otherwise approved by the city council. And so that will go through its 3 readings. So in about 6 weeks, that change will be made, unless the council doesn't agree, but it was unanimous when it was presented. So I expect that we'll be dispersing that money sometime.
And Judy, you indicated to us that the check's been voided.
I voided the check that we had originally issued, and we'll wait and then reissue a new check when the time comes.
Right, so we will then need, when it comes back to us, certification from Kelly, city clerk.
Yes.
Yeah, and I did discuss with the manager and attorney that we had a question about how that check would be issued, and I suggested that it would make sense. It should probably go to the
501c3.
The 501c3 Portsmouth NH 400. And my suggestion was that probably they should open a segregated account for this money, so it doesn't get commingled with the other funds that they're raising toward the celebration, and they were going to follow through on that as well. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call a roll call. Start with you, Dana.
I vote yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the scholarships for this year. And you have the updated version, Peter? Dana?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. So the suggested amount did not change, as we talked about briefly. The only thing that changed on this sheet is just updating it through December of 2022 to the most current amounts that, for each trust that sit in the investment fund. I did not change the suggested amounts to be awarded. Again, it's $1,500 more than what was awarded last year, so the total amount to be awarded this year is a total of $224,400.
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second from me.
Okay, so it's just a,
Yeah.
when I was looking over this, a couple questions. So I noticed, most of them were fairly close to last year's individual awards as
Yes.
well. The one that was noticeably different was the Leary one, the John and Olga Leary one, where last year it was awarded $25,000, and this year the proposal is 18.
Yeah, and again, I do try to keep in mind when making the proposals, if you look at the fourth column over, the income available per the state,
Right.
per the MS9, it only earned $18,000 last year. They didn't award everything last year either. So I just felt like, in keeping, if it had made a big difference to the bottom line, I would have kept it the same as last year, but keeping in mind that the MS9 had an income of $18,000, it just kind of made more sense to me. But if you want to bump it up, we
Well,
can
no,
bump it up.
what I was, my reason for asking is what I was trying to figure out is, because it's pretty clear that last year the available income was 18 and we had awarded 25. And I was trying to figure out if that particular account somehow or other had underperformed more than the other accounts.
Well, we didn't award anything.
Well, we didn't award all of it.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't award all of it. There were definitely awards coming out of the Leary, but I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that not all of it ended up being awarded. It was kind of redistributed on how it came out, if I remember correctly.
So that would have been, the lack of the awards would have been the result of decisions by the school department?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep,
That's interesting.
yeah. And I can confirm that for you if you want.
Well, no,
I'm thinking,
as I said, I was actually coming at it from a different angle. I was trying to figure out if for some reason or other that one fund was underperforming. the other
performing,
fund.
yeah, no,
Okay,
no.
all right. Any other questions or observations about the proposal? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Great, thank you,
Thanks, Judy. Good job on that.
thank you.
Okay. Let's talk our numbers.
Does anyone need the dashboard?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
It's-
Larger writing will be.
Yeah.
Just bring my laptop around and save you the trouble.
Yeah, that's okay, I don't mind. I'm gonna print it out for myself anyways. So in the month of December, we did have a disbursement, which you can see on the dashboard page, the very first page, to the right-hand side.
Right.
The amount withdrawn from both of the funds. From the park fund, we withdrew the $101,000, which is money that's going to go towards the first half of the year for the park funding that we budgeted for. And then the $96,000 that came out of the scholarships is just to go through and cover for what we paid out for the September, October, November portion of the year.
Wait a minute,
So on the parks one, Judy, we're going to sign the check today?
Yes.
So how can you take it out of,
I'm taking out of the investment fund and moving it to the checking account. It's sitting in the checking account right now when you sign the check. Then it'll go. That's how we've always done it in the past. Yeah.
so it did come out of the
It's out of the investment fund in December.
Okay.
I called and said, you know, I'm going to be asking for a check in January. I need to move these funds over. Same thing with the scholarships. And the scholarships are basically what we do is in the checking account, we true up at 2 times a year. We true up at the end of December, and we true up at the end of June as far as money coming out for scholarships. We issued a lot of scholarships, obviously, in August, September, October. This 96 is coming back over to basically zero out all the scholarship accounts for money that was issued out.
All right, so those have already been transferred?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
But that's, you know, I want you to take into consideration, if you look at the increase-decrease amount, I wanted to flag it for you all, so that, as you can see, those 2 accounts had a bigger decrease.
Right.
But obviously, part of it is because we had a withdrawal of funds. And I just wanted to be able to point that out to you.
No, that's good, that's helpful when we're looking at these things.
Yep.
Judy, I'm sorry, can you explain to me why we withdrew the scholarship funds into a checking account?
Because we issued checks, Dana.
Yeah.
We issued checks to the scholarships, all the checks that you've been signing, that's basically moving the money over to pay for those scholarships out. We have funds in the checking account, it's just a balancing, so we have funds in the checking account, but technically, at the end of the day, it's got to be the scholarship funds that are in there. So what we do is we basically square it off. If I had to go to TD Bank, got it?
We don't have a separate scholarship checking fund.
Exactly. It's one fund. Yep.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
And these funds will be essentially used to cover the second semester tuition payments? because
As well,
They aren't
yes.
all paid back
Correct.
in August, September.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
And just to follow up, I did send out an email to John on Monday, again regarding the dashboard report, requesting if he could give me a status report. I have not heard back. So I will shoot another email off, or I'll give him a phone call.
Yeah, tell them there's no excuse not to have it for the next month. It'll be almost a year.
Yeah. I will pass that along.
we met with them, or he came in October. right?
October.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Yeah, but we started,
Well, no, I totally agree. I'm just trying to, it seems like. a
Right,
long
and
time.
Dana had stated at that time that he had spoken to someone at TD as well, and that kind of prodded it along, that they were like, well, maybe we can do it. And, but I still haven't,
Yeah,
I haven't received anything.
As I recall, was it Suzanne had said in the email that she had talked to
correct.
powers that be, and they were going to
Correct.
accommodate it, so,
Yeah, correct.
okay. All right, any questions about the financials? All right. Now the heavy lifting part, signing checks.
Okay, so the first one that I'm going to look at is going to be a check for $112,950, which is the first half of the year check from the Prescott Park in Marine Maintenance that was voted on back in February of '22 for fiscal year '23 of the amount that's going to be allocated over to the city for the maintenance on the park. So this is the first half of the year total for that. And I have, just so that you can see, Dana's got this already. I sent it to him last night. Oops.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think your badge is on the floor.
All right. It's just not staying with me today. Just where the performance is so that you can see. And this is the sheet that I keep in case the Attorney General was to ask, how the fund's being allocated. We do keep track of it for the state as well if they ask. You can see the activity for Q1 and Q2. And So this allotment of funds is the first half, like I said, for the first and second quarter.
Judy, is there any way, seeing it doesn't take the whole sheet, to increase the size of the font?
I can try, I can try.
Okay. What's that, like a 9?
Where are you looking?
Well, the size of the font, the numbers.
Oh, this is, I think, a 10.
Yeah, this looks like a 10. If you could get it to 12, that would be
Yeah.
great.
Well, maybe I could try somehow, I don't,
No, I'm thinking if you've got the rest of this, whether, I
I'll
don't
try.
know.
Let me try juggling it, and I'll see what I can do for you. That's not a problem, I can try.
So on the marine maintenance fund,
Yes.
did the city fill all the slots for the,
We did.
Okay.
We had the lottery on January 6th, and we had 27 applicants, one of which was a non-resident total. Filled all 13 slots, and we've got a wait list, and a lot of the folks on the wait list are waiting to see if someone dropped out. So there's very active, and it's great to see, and, you know, got a lot of phone calls about it as well, so.
that's great.
Yep, all filled.
Did the city keep the rates the same? as-
Well, going before the fee committee, there might be some changes going forth before the fee committee, and I really probably shouldn't say anything more than that
Okay.
until it gets
Well,
to
but
the
they wouldn't be effective until next fiscal year
Correct.
anyway, right?
Correct.
So-
For this year, the fees are the same.
So we should generate, well, we don't know because of the day charges, but
Right. Depends on the day charges. We generate around 30, 40, probably around 32,000, depending on the size of the boats, too. I mean, whoever gets awarded, if there's different
Right.
sized boats, could
Yep.
generate more funds.
well, that's great.
Okay, so if that's all right with you all,
We all thought that that was a big leap when we signed on the dotted line.
for the city to do the park, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you all approve, I've got the check to sign.
Tim Bailey still handling it?
Docs, yeah. He's great.
Jack of all trades.
He is.
Do you want to vote on this?
Well, we can if you think,
All right, well, let's
you
just,
voted on
Just-
allotting it, so.
yeah, just, well, we've already approved these
Correct.
numbers anyways. Okay, so we don't need that.
You voted on it back in February.
Yeah.
So this is the $112,000?
Correct, for the park, yes,
For the park,
correct.
yeah. Got it.
What, all you're really doing is confirming that the city has spent at least $112,000
That's correct.
related to the
That
park.
way, if that, and that was part of the conditions of one of the things that when I went to speak with the Attorney General's office, when all this was going on, they were like, we want some kind of a tracking
Yeah.
so that we can see, so,
Yeah. Well, at least
which makes sense,
this report clearly shows they've spent that much.
yes. Okay, and then the next check I have is for the Marine Maintenance Trust loan payback, the annual payback that we do every year. Dana, that's the second sheet that I sent to you.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay. So what you have here is the performance for the docks for the calendar year of 2022.
Yeah, this one I think we need a vote on because
Yes.
it's,
Yes. So what you have, if you look over to the far right, is the total amount of revenues generated was 71. We had operating expenses going out, which is the amount that you had voted on and agreed to go towards the docks per the budget. So the profit for the year of 2022 was $50,423. The agreement is we keep about $5,000 remaining in the checking account per year, so that would mean a loan payback of $45,400. Last year, we paid back 45, so it's pretty consistent to what we have been paying back in the past.
Okay, so the number is $45,400.
$400 to pay back towards the loan. And overall, that will bring the original cost of the loan was $631,527. With this payment, it will be down to $339,760. So it is being chipped away at.
Yep. Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the dispersal of $45,400 toward our quote loan with the city.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Let's start with you, Dana.
I vote yes.
Peter?
Yes.
And chair votes yes.
Great, thank you. And then I additionally have 2 scholarship checks.
Do we have to sign that check?
Oh, yeah, well, that would be helpful, wouldn't it? Thank you, Peter. I would have gotten upstairs and been like, oh, no.
Just a curiosity question.
Yes.
How often do we, approve an amount that then is distributed half to a student, and then the student doesn't complete the year, and then the second half doesn't get paid out?
1 or 2. 1 or 2. I actually got back a check from one of the schools for half of the scholarship amount because the student only stayed for half of the semester, so they even allocated that back. Yeah, so, yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I need to switch on it.
Quite a few kids going to Elon.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, that's like the Oberlin of the
Yeah.
80s, you know?
I don't have any other checks, that's it.
Okay, all right. That concludes the scheduled business, and I see no one from the public here to offer any opinions on what we're doing. So is there any new business that either of you would like to bring up? Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? I guess we have a roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Dana?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Great.
In record time.